Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really quite good.
Quite a certain harmful habit.
Stop it now, I mean it.
Well, hello and welcome back. We are breaking up with RBS. This is episode number 35, and I am Tawny Santabria.
And I'm JDK Winnikin. We're here to debunk the junk once again, ladies and gentlemen, and always more junk to debunk.
And we love it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It is a never-ending gift of junk.
Yeah, we never run out of things.
Never run out of things.
Yeah.
Which could be bad if you really stop saying, oh, I could be really depressed by that. But, of course, the other side of it is we're debunking it. You can break up with it.
Yeah. We're not going to get depressed by it.
No. So, well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode. Thanks. If you're listening live, thank you for doing so. If you're listening as on your favorite podcast provider, thanks for doing that. Thanks for subscribing, leaving comments. Really appreciate it. If you're watching on our YouTube channel at Breaking Up with RBS, welcome back. And you can see us here, and there's sunlight coming in. Spring has arrived. It's awesome.
For a hot second.
We'll
take it.
Yeah, where we are in the Pacific Northwest, it's a day-by-day proposition. But anyway.
Moment by moment.
Moment by moment, yes. Exactly. So speaking of moment by moment,
yes.
What's going on with you moment by moment? What's on your mind and in your awareness today that we can chat about?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about courage. Yeah, just kind of like it just sort of keeps coming up in different ways. Maybe it's Aries season. I mean, it is Aries season.
Okay.
So, and courage is a little bit a part of that. So maybe it's coming up in part of that. I don't know.
Is it manifesting in some way, shape, or form for you? Have you been doing courageous things lately? I sort of know the answer to this.
Well, I feel like I've done at least one courageous thing.
One big courageous thing.
One big courageous thing.
Do you want to share about it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Tell us about your courageous thing.
I kind of created a 6-week self-mastery course.
Yeah, just created it.
Yeah. I had a lot of help from some people. Of course, because all that technology stuff, I couldn't do it on my own, for sure.
Right.
But it goes along well with some of the things that we talk about every single week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a self-mastery course that takes place over 6 weeks if somebody signs up for it.
Over 6 weeks, you get a meditation, you get some content, you get some information about your own stress and well-being levels. You get to know a little bit about what's depleting you, how to sort of let some of those BS stories that we always talk about, let them go for at least a few moments.
And work on it for 6 weeks.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's great. So it's, I've seen it. I know what's in it. And it is amazing. If for listeners who tune in and hear us talk about this for every 30 minutes, once a week, this is an opportunity for them to really dive in for themselves and kind of see what this is like.
Yeah, instead of just hearing us talk about it.
Right.
They'll have to hear me talk about some things.
Right.
But then they get to also do the practices themselves and learn a ton about themselves.
Right. So any of you, if you go to our Facebook group, Breaking Up with RBS, you can find out more information about the course there. Where else can they find out about it or sign up?
At my website, integratedgrowthcoach.com.
Perfect.
So you can sign up right on the coaching link and learn a little bit or a lot more about what that is.
Yeah, it really is amazing. It's a lot of really good stuff, and it works really fast when you do it. And that's always exciting. You know, I remember when I first started doing presence work, the relief that I felt initially at something shifting, something feeling better, but also learning how to accept where I was, even if I was feeling bad, and not trying to run from it was such a big deal. So that was a courageous thing. It's interesting that you put that under courage.
Yes.
Why under courage did you put that? Like, why was that a courageous thing to do?
Well, you know, I've always wanted to be able to have what I do individually with people more accessible, right? Because not everybody is going to want to spend a ton of time with me.
No?
Well, not everybody will, right? But some people can take a little bit of time with me, right? And some of what I share and some of the practices that I share really does allow for people to feel, just better
Mhm.
and more present. And I think that we need more of that in our lives, and I think it takes courage to even do more of that in
It
our
does.
lives too. So I was thinking about myself in it's courageous that I sort of put this thing finally together and have it available, but
Mhm.
also then I'm thinking of folks who decide to do it.
Yeah.
That's going to be a courageous step also.
It is. It is. It requires I guess in some ways openness to change or openness to trying something new
Yeah.
is can be in and of itself a courageous an act of courage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe one of the biggest ones.
Right.
Now that I think about it.
It is not easy.
No, it's not. So,
Yeah.
well, congratulations, because
Yeah,
I know
thank
that
you.
you've thought about doing that and wanted
Mhm.
to do that for a really long time.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
and I can attest to it, folks. It's really cool. There's amazing stuff in there, so check it out. Okay, well, I guess if we're going to talk about courageous things, I
Yeah.
did a courageous
You did a
thing.
courageous
I
thing
started a
too.
courageous thing.
Oh, tell more.
Well, and this would be the audience to tell it to, but I
Mhm.
have started training to become a certified human potential coach.
Fantastic.
Right, which Tawny is already. Right? So so I guess I'm one of those people who can spend a lot of time,
You're
with
one of those
you.
people. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
good. But it and the reason I started that is because it was the next step.
Mhm.
From with the way my life has gone since starting presence work and all the things that are going on, this opportunity came up
Mhm.
and it was definitely the right thing to do. And you're going to see, hopefully, or I'm going to see and experience what that's going to be like in terms of how I show up in my everyday life, but also for the show and all
Yep.
this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that was a courageous thing too, because it requires it's a good amount of work
Mhm.
in what is already a busy life for me, and yet it fits in really well with all of that and is going to help all the other areas of my life as well, because there'll be a lot of intentionality in me sitting,
Yep.
doing the training and doing all this. So
Mhm.
so always looking for ways to expand this out for everybody, and so
Mhm.
hopefully it will be beneficial for everyone. So, all right, so let's stick with courage then. We
Mhm.
talked about values last week and
Yeah.
got a lot of really positive feedback. A lot of people really connected with that, the discussion about values, of how, the need for us to know what those are from a place of presence for really anything else after that to really to really break up with stuff, right? To break up with those BS stories. So
Mhm. Mhm.
when I say courage in that context, what comes up?
Yeah. Well, at before I talk about that, I was also what came up for me as you were talking,
Mm,
was I think that there's just a lot of interest in, wow, okay, if I connect with my values, which is kind of a cool thing also
mhm,
to know about ourselves,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
And I use them as a map or a guide. Like they can really be helpful. When I'm lost and I'm just like not sure what to do or make a decision around this, that, or the other, and I just feel stuck, I have some place that I can go
mhm,
to help with some sorting for myself. So I think that was exciting for people too. Like,
yeah,
tell me more.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because if we know those, so what comes up for me is a situation like if I know what my values are, an unexpected situation comes up, or I have to make a decision that's tough. That's when stories can really come out of the woodwork. The fears of, for me, what that would look like is, how do I know I'm making the right choice?
Right. Mhm.
How do I know I'm doing the right thing, quote unquote? Going back to those values, sounds like what you're saying is the way to go. Okay, if I go back to those, know what those are, I'm going to get a clearer path to knowing what that answer is.
Yeah, you might not even have to ask yourself, am I
Right.
making the right choice?
Right. Might just know where it is.
If we just go with our values, chances are
Mm-hmm.
we're probably close to making a good enough choice.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate with the right because depending on how we're measuring it, whether if it's outcome based or just so
Correct.
that I feel a particular
Yeah,
way
that's a
right
good
now,
point.
then so yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So courage.
Mm.
I just feel like it takes a lot of courage to in life right now
Oh, yeah.
around all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Holy
Y-
smokes.
Yeah. I mean, it seemingly the challenges to that are coming from every direction,
Mm.
um, external, and of course, what's happening outside of us
Mhm.
stirs up internal things, and what comes up internally than we act externally. No.
And on and
And
on
on
and
and
on.
on and on. Yeah, and sometimes I wonder with that, people can start to feel powerless, like I can't do anything. Like this, everything is going poorly, or there's all these different problems, and I either am powerless to do anything about it, or what good would it do for me to do all these things we're talking about, right? And certainly, when we take a look at um, some of the really difficult things going on in the world, right? People asking questions like, "Well, can you really be okay?" quote unquote.
Mhm.
You and I talk about this all the time. Can you be okay even when things are not okay? I think sometimes that's a tough hurdle sometimes for people to get over in times like we've been living in these last few years.
Yeah.
So it takes courage to keep showing up into that space with a sense of, okay,
Mhm.
where am I at?
Yeah.
What can I do for me?
And we're all fairly uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? And so courage is super helpful when we're experiencing discomfort or something that's unpleasant.
Mhm.
And we're in a lot of different areas of our life, internally, externally.
Yeah,
We are experiencing quite a bit of discomfort.
we are.
And as we and on the one hand, maybe we're feeling like, "Oh, we're transitioning back to what used to be normal to some degree, but not really. So maybe we're gonna be finding some sort of comfort at some point," but even the transition of whatever
Yeah.
can be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, as well as the idea that there may not actually be a return
Ab
to
absolutely.
that. To put on my historian hat again, there's no such thing as a return to normal
Mhm.
ever,
Yep.
because even when we tell ourselves we wanna go back in time, we don't really wanna go back somewhere that actually existed, because that's where mythology and all that comes in. But yeah, and it occurs to me, and I'm wondering what you think of this. Doesn't the very I mean, doesn't courage ch don't choices from courage have to come from discomfort?
Well, that's a good question. Like, it if we have a tendency to avoid or deny or distract ourselves from
Mhm,
discomfort,
mhm,
right? Like, none those aren't courageous.
mhm.
Those are just coping mechanisms that keep us from discomfort.
Right.
Yeah. So, when I think about courage, I think about sort of having some kind of, tenacity maybe, to really, persist or, to really stay with something,
Yeah,
stay on course with something.
yeah.
Think about it also including, really having, some integrity and being able to be accountable
Mm.
for our own actions.
It's an act of courage. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
And even, an act of courage, I feel like could be something that just is I don't wanna say necessarily just have a positive attitude, but really working towards developing or refueling ourselves
yeah.
so that we have some energy and vitality in our lives. Like, that takes courage right now too.
It does. It does. Yeah, I guess that all makes sense. I think that to me, when I think of courage, what I see is you're having to act in a way that is brave, because whatever's coming up, you kinda have to, if you really want to take that next step, or I don't know if that's
Do
making
you have
sense.
to?
You don't have to, but maybe it would help if you did.
Yeah, it would help and it would help who?
Well, I would hope it would be myself. I would hope.
If you chose
If
to
I
be
chose to be,
if you chose to be courageous, it would help you.
I would think, and yes, that's what I would guess.
Well, I don't know. I'm just you can sure, right? Uh, it could be helpful around something that is, very clearly a physical sort of safety
Oh,
issue
sure, sure, yeah.
or a tragic sort of, something acute going on,
Mhm,
and we have to kind of step into action and be courageous to take care of what's happening in front of us,
mhm,
right? Or if we have a particular goal,
mhm.
right? Like we just talked about, taking that next step might
Yeah,
take some courage.
yeah,
don't think that we typically think of courage as being something not so big, though. Like the courage to say something or do something that is aligned with our integrity.
Yeah.
I think we don't think about that necessarily as courage,
Right. Yeah,
but
we don't.
it does take
It
courage
does.
to do that. And that I guess that's my point of like we have choice.
Mhm.
We could act with courage in some of these areas of our life, but we probably could get by just fine and continue to avoid and deny and distract
Sure.
ourselves too if we chose to do that. We could do
Right.
that too.
Yeah, that avoidance or not causing waves or something like that.
Totally.
You know,
Mhm.
it is an act of courage to say in a group of people at a dinner party, for example, that, if it's aligned with your values, like, I don't agree.
Mhm.
And suddenly have everybody look at you, that happens to me a lot,
Yeah.
actually.
Or even, yeah, you guys are gonna have the burgers and fries and I'm gonna have the salad, and that's okay.
Right.
Right? Because sometimes socially,
Socially,
we
right.
definitely can just sort of
Yeah.
go with the group. So it could be as easy as that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to, yeah, courage tends to conjure up big acts.
Yes. Mhm.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've appreciated about presence work is that as discomforts big and small come up, being able to act on the basis of a value like that of, courageous act, even if it's little, it
Mhm.
goes a long way. It shows us what our potential is, what our possibilities are.
Mhm.
And it tends to diffuse the energy of some of those stories, like
Mhm.
the "I can't" stories or "I'm just wired this way"
Right.
stories,
Mhm.
that I found first to my excitement, like, this is just how I am. I was really excited doing this work to realize, okay, that's a story. This is just how I am. I can actually change. I have choice. And then there's also occasionally the alarm that comes with that on the other end going, oh, okay, yeah, well, I have to choose that. No, I'm making choices for me. I'm responsible for me. I'm accountable for whatever it is I choose to do or not to do. If I'm courageous in a given moment, that's on me. If I'm not, it's on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
whole different
That includes courage also, just to
yes.
accept that
Uh-huh.
that I am in charge here of
Uh-huh.
me.
Of me. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's both liberating and also, it's illuminating
Mhm.
in what I'm responsible for. It's like, "Ooh, I'm responsible for my feelings, I'm responsible for my words, I'm responsible for my choices." And then we're in the end, I guess, I'm the only one who really knows to what degree I am acting upon those values or not. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the integrity part.
absolutely.
When because no one's watching.
Mm-mm. Well, and even if they are watching, they still
I
might not
still
know.
don't know, right? Yeah.
We're always watching each other.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
there's
true.
that part.
That's true. And and this is such an important one. I mean, every value is. I mean, if we were going to list off every value, I think everybody could go, okay, yeah, that's important. This one is courage is so, I mean, it's such an avenue for growth through discomfort, it seems to me. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
When I think about post-traumatic growth, for example,
Mm,
we've heard a lot about post-traumatic disorder, and when somebody is or does go through a traumatic experience or several different traumatic experiences, they're going to have some body
oh yeah.
stuff going on for sure. And courage would be a part of that post-traumatic growth process. We don't have to be limited as a result of trauma.
Mm, right.
We actually can grow through that also, but that again takes
Courage.
courage. Yeah.
Courage. Yeah. And v- whether it's about post traumatic or even just in general things, the courage of to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
For me, maybe it's the masculine side of me, but courage sometimes conjures up the arms up and the fists out and the standing up to the bully kind of idea, which is its own form of courage, I suppose. But the courage to soften vulner vulnerability, to let emotions sit,
Mhm.
you know, to welcome in, to learn this is still an ongoing process for me when I am feeling sad or frustrated or lonely, to allow those feelings, to welcome them, not because I'm excited they're there, but to recognize that they are there. That's sometimes that's the toughest thing that I can do in a given day.
Mhm. And it's about discomfort,
Yeah.
right? We want to feel comfortable,
Mhm.
so we'll go to great lengths
Yeah.
to feel comfortable, even if that comfortable isn't enthusiastic. It's just what we're used to. It's
Mhm.
familiar,
Yeah.
right? So your comfortable is different than my comfortable. Your discomfort's different than mine. But the commonality is when we know we're experiencing discomfort and we move away from it,
Mhm.
courage would allow us to be with it.
Mhm. Yeah. It's true. Because sometimes I feel like if with those stories, I get the visual of somebody ringing my doorbell,
Mhm.
and I don't know who's at the door, and I go and open the door, and there's somebody there, and the negative, the difficult feelings, the loneliness, the sadness, the frustration. I kinda look at 'em and go,
Are they here again?
"Okay, well, you're here." You know? And the thing about it is, and the thing that's so what I can tell people is the experience that I've had, and I know this is what we keep talking about. That seems so scary when those show up, and we wanna run, we wanna push them out the door, we wanna slam the door and pretend they never showed up in the first place. Here's the thing, when we let them in, they don't stay.
Yeah, because it's boring at our house. No.
Yeah, they get up and leave. They eventually get up and leave because for me anyway,
Mhm.
I'm not going out of my way. Like for me, making up stories on those emotions would be like them showing up and me giving them this huge party and that I don't want to be giving them so that
Mhm.
they stay longer and longer
Yeah.
and longer. That's the interesting thing. By welcoming them in, it actually shortens it shortens the impact and it shortens the stay,
Mhm. Yeah.
which seems counterintuitive to us the way we have received those messages for a lot of our lives. A lot of us anyway.
Right, I'd say most of us.
Yeah.
We have been conditioned to not like discomfort, right? To move away from discomfort. There's something wrong. I think you talked about it ages ago in our podcast. Um, something's wrong if I'm not comfortable,
Uh-huh.
right? And so I need to fix
Gotta fix it.
this discomfort,
Or
right?
run.
Yeah, or run, like hide in the bedroom and not
Mhm.
answer the door, right?
Mhm. That's right. That's right.
It's still gonna ring,
Still
right?
gonna
They're gonna
ring.
come back later. They're
Still
gonna
gonna
come back
ring.
later, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, so we've been conditioned to no, we're supposed to feel good.
Mhm.
We're supposed to feel positive, or we're supposed to feel the feelings that we want to feel. And if we don't feel the feelings that we want to feel, then we've got to do something about those,
Yeah.
or it's a problem that we
Right.
have those feelings.
Right. Right. Instead of that recognition that can build over time, that to have all of those, even if we don't know where they're coming from,
Mhm.
is an integral part of being human, just as much as breathing is, eating is, all those things. It's a part of that. Yet it's such an interesting part of our conditioning is that we're not supposed to treat that as a natural thing. Right. So in that sense, if we're going to follow that analogy, the act of going to the door and opening it and letting them come in is the courage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does take courage to open up your door these
it
days,
does.
right? We don't know who's there,
It does.
right?
Have you noticed that? It's like just a quick aside.
Nobody
Like
wants to open
nobody
that
ever wants to
door.
answer the
I
door
know.
anymore. It's like, who would dare show up at my door and ring the doorbell? Shouldn't they text at the door? So weird. Its own issue, I
Sort of a
suppose.
hypervigilance of sort, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, okay, that's yeah, wow. It's such an integral part of what we're talking about is just that the softening, the getting into the belly, the recognizing those emotions in the body is sort of going to the door and letting them in.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then not giving them a whole lot of reason to stay. The stories are really when they start setting up shop, and before you know it, they're sleeping on your couch and eating your food. I can go forever with this.
Yes.
So
Yes. Well, there's lots of places to go with those stories.
there are,
Yes.
which is why it's so important to break up with them, and it
Mhm.
just makes things so much simpler,
Mhm.
so
Mhm. Yeah.
and more connected to reality. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
all
So
right, well, we got more to continue with
we do.
going forward.
We
So,
do.
once again, if you get a chance, go visit integratedgrowthcoach.com and check out the 6-week self mastery course that Tawny has put together. It's absolutely fabulous. It's everything we talk about dug in deep and a way for you to tailor it to you and to experience it yourself. And so check that out. In the meantime, also make sure you check out our Facebook group at Breaking Up with Our BS. You can join that and get content in between. And let's see. Until next time.
Until next time.
I am JDK Winnikin.
You are, and I'm Tawny Santabria.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
How you all feel tonight?
Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really quite good.
Quite a certain harmful habit.
Stop it now, I mean it.
I don't think he felt anything after the crash.
Un second, Janillo.